Even without the political imbroglio that surrounded this film and its makers, M had little chance for success on its release in 1951. The general public certainly wasn't clamoring for a film about a child murderer, and the cinema cognoscente were almost obligated to compare the film unfavorably to the original. In fact, Fritz Lang snidely remarked that the release of this remake earned his 1931 film the best reviews of his career. Critics duly noted the sincerity and intensity of David Wayne's performance, but within months of its release, M was shunted into the shadows, where it would remain for the next 60 years. Joseph Losey would make two more films in Hollywood, The Prowler and The Big Night, created back-to-back under intense pressure as he anticipated his inevitable blacklisting. He'd leave the U.S. before he finished editing The Big Night and settled permanently in London in 1953, working under various pseudonyms so his films would not be boycotted by the anti-communist brigade. By the 1960s, Losey had established himself under his real name as one of the world's premier filmmakers, and his collaborations with writer Harold Pinter resulted in a trio of classic films: The Servant from 1963, 1967's Accident, and The Go-Between, released in 1971. By that time, most people believed the Wisconsin-born director was British, and his early Hollywood films were rarely discussed and almost never seen. Thanks to the efforts of the Film Foundation, the Library of Congress, and the Film Noir Foundation, Losey's early work has been restored and preserved, so the full breadth of his filmography can finally be appreciated.
I asked you here to catch you up to date on my thinking about these baby killings.
M marked the film debut of Martin Gable, who played crime boss Charlie Marshall. Gable was one of the original members of Orson Welles' famed Mercury Theater, playing Javert in an epic multi-part radio adaptation of Les Miserables in 1937. In that same year, he earned raves as Cassius in a modern dress stage production of Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. Gable also directed Universal's 1947 noir horror hybrid, The Lost Moment, based on a novella by Henry James, starring Robert Cummings, Susan Hayward, and Agnes Moorehead. And that'd be his only film as a director. After appearing in M, Gable made only a handful of films during the next 30 years, including Deadline USA, The Power and the Glory, Marnie, and Lady in Cement. He worked more often on stage, even winning a Tony Award, but was perhaps best known to the general public as the husband of popular television personality Arlene Francis, one of the regulars on the long-running game show, What's My Line? Now, lastly, I'll note M's fantastic camera work, supplied by Hungarian-born Ernest Laszlo. His work inside the Bradbury Building is probably the most dramatic evocation ever of that Los Angeles landmark. Some of you may even have noticed that my office replicates the look of the Bradbury Building. Ernest Laszlo's noir resume is impressive, including other such films as Impact, DOA, and The Well. He shot 11 features for director Robert Aldrich, who was Losey's assistant director on M. Among those Aldrich films is the classic noir Kiss Me Deadly. Laszlo hit his stride shooting several hits by producer Stanley Kramer, including Inherit the Wind, Judgment at Nuremberg, and It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. Starting in 1961, Laszlo was nominated for 8 Best Cinematography Oscars, winning one for 1965's Ship of Fools, produced and directed by Stanley Kramer. So always remember, visit us on the Noir Alley Facebook page and Twitter feed, where you can share your comments and suggestions. And let's make a date to meet back here next week, because we'll be celebrating a very special birthday. May 5th is the 105th birthday of Tyrone Power, and I will commemorate it by showing what, to me, is his greatest film, 1947's Nightmare Alley. You do not want to miss that. It's one of my personal favorites. See you then.